Hi, Shammara. Let me know when you can hear me. Hi. How's it going?
Oh, sorry, it just takes me like a second to
All good.
get all the audio and the video going.
Yep. Same. Same. All right. Well, I hope that you had a good weekend and the week's off to a good start. Great to see you. So, kind of reflecting back on what we were doing last session, what would you say was maybe the thing that you felt the strongest about or the best about with that?
Last week we were doing Texas. We were doing this like scripts from my show,
Mm-hmm.
Young Sheldon. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I thought they were fun. I enjoy the Southern ones more. The British ones make me nervous, so I enjoyed last week
Oh.
better than the week prior to that.
Mhm.
But um, yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit more fun and feels a little less daunting, maybe. Yeah, I think that having something you're watching and listening to regularly with the accent definitely helps with that confidence. It also sounds like having your husband be from New Zealand, there are similarities with a British accent, and that could make it a little nerve-wracking too, that you're like, I have someone in my home who kind of knows when I'm on the right track or not. So it's a little bit like being on stage practicing. Um, and yeah, and if you don't have anybody, around constantly that has a southern accent, then it maybe feels a little more free. I would imagine to be able to practice and play with that a bit more for myself. I feel like that would apply for me. So, yeah. So, well, if you're enjoying that one, I think too, like it seems like the characters are just really fun characters that you feel a connection to and enjoy. So love
So
that.
I would like. I know this is kind of like a pivot or whatever, but
That's okay.
I would like to practice like commercials a little bit more because
Sure, absolutely.
I think I
Yeah,
want
for
to
sure.
start trying to submit, I guess, myself for things
Yeah.
like that. I just want.
I love that idea for sure. Yeah. Okay. So yes, commercial scripts are going to be a little bit different of a feel to them. So when you think of commercial voiceover, what are some of the things that you maybe have observed or found or noticed in other people when listening?
Well, I do think that there's a difference in some of the voiceovers that I hear primarily like on television versus the ones that I hear on
Hmm.
podcasts and
For
things like
sure.
that. So I
I
feel like,
agree with that. So noticing some different style depending on where you're hearing it. Like, is it a podcast? Is it something you see on YouTube? Is it on TV? Is it something on the radio? You might notice some changes in style with that. That's a really good observation. Yeah. So
yeah.
then what would you say is maybe an example if you heard a commercial voiceover person on TV, what are some of the things you usually notice there?
I will say I don't know. I've noticed a lot more celebrity voiceovers on television.
Yeah.
Feel like the voices are a lot more familiar.
Okay.
Unless I'm talking, I guess, about for the like I don't know what you would call them, more high end, commercials. They definitely
Yeah.
seem a little bit more formal, whereas my podcasts, I feel like they oftentimes they use the hosts
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing
um,
to notice. Love that.
they want it to sound like almost like they're just talking about. it rather than trying to
Hmm.
sell you something. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, I love that. Okay, so really good observations there. What about if you heard on a podcast, a commercial on a podcast? What are some things you maybe would notice there? Just typically, it doesn't have to be always, but just like some general observations.
some general observations are that they often clearly have sent a sample to the person, and that person's usually giving like a testimonial style
Ah,
of
okay.
advertising. But then every once in a while, they throw in what I would consider more of like a radio style commercial
Sure.
that's very more, it's a little bit more formal, and it
Okay.
actually takes you out of I I see why they try to have the host do it, because it does change
Mm,
the feel of what's happening in the podcast when suddenly you just hear
right.
random.
Somebody knew that it's like, what am I listening to? Like it kind of jars you, jerks you out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still a lot more, I don't know, formal,
Yeah.
and like 1-800, oh yeah,
Yeah.
but they're speaking fast, like it's just like something.
Because podcasts are so personable and a little more casual. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, good observation there. Yeah. So seeing some of those similarities, some of those differences, love that. So just kind of generally speaking, what would you say is the difference in like a commercial voiceover and a character voiceover?
um I mean, I'm guessing, like, I feel like a commercial voiceover, oftentimes they seem a little bit more like the narrator style, whereas the um character voices are, playing the part of a character in the
Yeah.
show.
hmm
So I don't know if that's correct, but that's kind of where my brain goes for that.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Yeah, so sometimes it can help to kind of see what's going to be similar, what's going to be different. And a lot of the time you'll find people who, maybe usually do one type. Like maybe this person pretty much exclusively does video games, or this person, like my friend A Ray, basically only does video games. And then you'll find people who it's like this person really only does audiobook narration. They'll kind of specialize. But then you also have people who do a variety. I tend to get a little bit bored easily, so I like to have more variety. It's a little more fun, keeps me on my toes. Um, I think part of what kind of gets people in a niche like that is that they'll just do really well with something, and then a certain company likes working with them or author or whatnot. And so then they just get hired by that same person over and over again. Um, so yeah, so sometimes that'll happen where you just kind of like go, "Oh, I do really well with this," and then you just kind of like stay in that lane. But yeah, I would say for commercial voiceover, we're going to be thinking about the general genre. They're designed to sell or promote, right? A product, a service, an idea. So your job is connecting that target audience quickly and emotionally, getting them attached to this thing, right? So it could be TV or radio, online, social media promos. It could be YouTube, Spotify. It could be like an in-store retail kind of a thing, like announcements that you might hear. So you want to study your script like an actor for a character. First, you'll ask yourself things like, who are you? Who are you talking to? What do you want from them? Are you trying to build trust? Do you want them to remember a brand? Do you want them to buy something? And also, like, why is this relevant to them right now? Is there urgency or timing in this script that you've got? And I think it's really important to highlight those keywords and phrases. So like pauses, inflection, changes, emotional shifts is especially important because you have such a small window of time to do that. Um, I like to really think about the tone and the brand. So some commercials might need more of a bright, energetic, peppy delivery. Others might want it more calm, more trustworthy, or maybe conversational and relatable and real feeling. So it might be like a hard sell. It might be more of a soft sell, a luxury feeling, quirky, character driven. So is it like fast paced and energetic, warm and friendly and natural? Is it elegant? Is it upscale? Is it slower? Is it stylized? More like fun? So we think about the delivery. Um, I like to think of that very first moment. I need to start really strong. I need to grab their attention. Those first few words matter the most for just grabbing them, getting their attention. I also try to pay attention to pacing and timing. If they give me a time limit, I try to stay in that timing, but I don't want to rush either. So sometimes I'll record it more like leisurely and then I'll use editing to speed it up. Um, because sometimes I'll get things where it's like, whew, I don't even know if I can talk that fast, you know? So I want it to be believable and work. Sometimes I'll just like cut out gaps, like pauses or like breath moments, to cut out time as well. So it just kind of depends. But I try to make sure that I relax because my tendency is to rush anyway.
What
Clarity, yeah.
what software do you use?
So it varies. I usually start by teaching people to use Audacity because it's very simple and it's free. There are also a lot of really good tutorials and things that are available to use it. It has a lot of support for it as well, and it's been around a really long time. So that's one that's really easy to get started on. So that's usually where I recommend people start. Adobe Audition is great. It has a small price per month, but it's not a whole lot. You know, it's like $9 or something a month. And I also, though, have worked with Pro Tools. I have Pro Tools. I also have Logic Pro, which is like a Mac thing. So it just kind of depends on what you know, feel most comfortable with. What I would say too is you don't need all the bells and whistles. So something like Pro Tools, I really only need if I am, let's say, needing to record from somewhere else and they have like an audio engineer, you know, in another state who wants to like log in and be able to access my software and stuff and be doing all the audio editing while I'm doing the voiceover, that kind of a thing, because they have a program that works um, with that where you can do that so you can work more remotely well. So that would be a reason that I would want to be comfortable with that. But you could also just like go into a studio and have an audio engineer work with you where you are. And the thing is, if they pay enough, it's like you can afford to go to a professional studio anyway. So I usually recommend Adobe Audition or Audacity for starting out because they're a little bit simpler and a little more geared towards voice actors. Because, you know, if I'm producing music, I'm going to have all these different tracks and I need all the bells and whistles. It's kind of like having like a 2 ton, um, machine to do a like 10-ounce project, you know, so we don't need that. So it's just like a little bit too much. So I usually recommend starting with Audacity or GarageBand and then go from there. Um, yeah, so I'm happy to walk through some of those things with you if you maybe want to download Audacity. It's a free software. You can get it for PC or for Mac as well, Apple as well, and it's totally free to use that. So really good support and everything. If you want something that's more of an app that you can download on the phone, because sometimes, like, say I get an audition posting and they're like, I need it in the next 2 hours from my agents or something, and I'm not going to be home or at a studio in that time. I just want something I can get done really quick. So I'll pull out my phone and be like, okay, so for on the phone, you could do something like just a voice memo, but it's going to be a little bit nicer quality if you use something like the Dolby On app. I recommend that one as well, Dolby On. And the reason is because you can record on your phone. I could just use something like, you know, my phone headphones and just record a quick little thing. And I can do just some very basic edits, and it's totally free to use that. So if I open that app up, to record, all I have to do is push the little microphone button and it starts to record. Then after I have a track, I can go in and I can do like the tools. It has a little button for tools. And then I can do things like play with noise reduction and like trim it and boost it and tone and style. They have different things. I try not to change what I sound like, but I might use something like noise reduction, right? So I try to just do very basic editing just to make it a little bit cleaner sound. And where, they can hear me well, that kind of thing. So just really basic edits. I like to use that one. There are apps that are basically like a full-on studio in your hand. However, again, we as voice actors don't really need all that. A lot of voice acting jobs too, you aren't necessarily going to be doing any of the production stuff yourself. Um, like anything I've gotten through my agents, I haven't had to do any of the editing type stuff. Um, that being said, sometimes I get through like online websites and things, audition sites, I'll get jobs where if I can do edits, they love that, and it might help me get the job. And then for audiobooks, a lot of the jobs they want you to just do like very basic editing type things to kind of clean up the files before you upload them. And that just makes it easier and, less time consuming on the other end of things. So, just knowing some basic editing skills can be really helpful. So, I feel like starting with Audacity and the Dolby On app are probably a good way to start just because they're free and you can do, I mean, pretty much everything you need to do, you can do in Audacity and it's very straightforward. So, you might possibly want to buy a plugin or two, which honestly, like if you have a PC, you can pretty much get any of the plugins you need free for Mac. You could spend like $5 on a plugin, if they don't have the effect or whatnot that you want. But most everything you can do in there, no problem. I haven't ever bought any plugins for it myself. I'm pretty happy with what's there. And if you also like set up your mic well and stuff like that and perform it well, it makes your editing a lot easier than if you didn't in the first place. So that initial recording affects a lot of what you'll need to do later on. So if I like do things like, make lots of like kind of sounds while I'm doing it, that's going to be picked up and then I'll have to go through and like fix all that. Or if I do like really audible, like, breaths and things, if I want to do it for a character, sure. But if I just kind of do it without thinking about it or like bump the mic stand, things like that, that's not ideal. So just like little things that just with practicing with the mic helps a lot. So, yeah. Good question, but maybe download those this week. And then if you want to take some time in another lesson, we can actually practice recording into Audacity and some of the different editing things that you can do just to kind of get you started. Um, yeah, so that kind of takes us into recording with like good techniques and the editing. So we can work with that later on. But yeah, I think that just making sure you're really clear, you have that emotional connection. I would say for commercials, typically you're going to smile because we hear that in your voice. Um, so yeah, I think that usually you'll smile. Not necessarily always, but usually. If I'm doing like a really serious law firm kind of thing, then maybe I don't. But people definitely can hear the smile in your voice. So I thought we'd do a few different styles, try a few different contrasting commercial scripts. So this first one is a skincare line. You a lot of the time are going to have a little bit of direction on your audition casting postings. So one thing I always look at is what's the brand, what's the product I'm selling. So here we have Serene Glow Skincare. So Serene Glow, I assume, is the brand, and then skincare is what the product is. And they tell us our tone is going to be warm, confident, and aspirational. Love it. They also give us kind of the outline of kind of, some notes on what it's going to kind of shape up to be. And they also add warm and reassuring, right? They also gave us some good punctuation. We don't always get that, but I always really appreciate it when they give us good punctuation to help kind of guide where to take breaths and how they want it delivered, that kind of thing. If they put something in bold or italicized, I always appreciate that. This is the first one I thought we could take a look at, and I found a couple others that I thought might be good. I found a guided meditation app commercial as well as a coffee commercial. So we have some contrast here, which I thought would be good just for a little bit of a different vibe. Like the coffee one's a little more, cheerful, upbeat, enthusiastic. The guided meditations more like calming, gentle kind of a thing. Skincare, has a little different vibe. So, yeah, so some different things that we can play with. So, which one would you want to try first of those?
I don't know. Let's start with the Serene Glow skincare.
All righty. Yes, because who doesn't want to just be glowing and have healthy skin, right? Great. Okay, so then let's just have you kind of read through one time first, especially look out for the brand and the name of whatever it is you're, promoting. Think about your audience. So who's your target audience? Who are the people that you feel like this is written for, that you want to grab their attention? And I like to think about strong points of view about any people, places, or things, and also action words or descriptive words. I pay extra close attention to those and think about how I want to express those. With descriptive words, I really think about like if I'm saying soft, I try to make my voice kind of have that softer feeling, or I say, they slammed the door. It's kind of like that. Like I want to kind of like make a slamming kind of sound, that they get that feeling. So, thinking about the emotion that goes along with those words. Yeah.
So just read it outright or just or go slow.
Yeah, let's go ahead and try out loud.
Okay. They say beauty fades with time, but what if beauty just evolves? At Serene Glow, we believe your skin tells your story, and every chapter deserves to shine. Our botanical rich formulas hydrate, nourish, and bring out your natural glow at any age. Because self care isn't selfish, it's essential. Serene
Nice. Yeah. Good. Keep going.
Glow Skincare. Love the skin you're in.
Nice. Nice. I love that. Yes. Beautiful. All right. So, what worked well, even just with that very first take?
Um, I don't know. I do like it, it does have, like you said, good punctuation in there, kind of explains when you might draw something out or, ask a question. Um, I don't know. I like that they use the, italicized some words to try to help, point you to, um, I don't know, emphasize
Yeah.
the words that are important to them. So,
Yeah, that they want you to kind of lean into, bring out a little bit more. I like that too. Yeah, I think that's really helpful because you don't have a person to like talk to in the moment. You don't have them there to ask a question. So, that's something I find really helpful and I really appreciate when they do that. So what would be some things that you thought, I feel like I would tweak this about what I did, or I might modify that? What are some things you maybe noticed that you were like, oh, I observed this or I found this and I want to do something different with it?
I mean, I really was just reading it. I wasn't trying to um, act it, I would say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the first time through, it's just kind of reading it, processing it, going, what is there here to work with? Yeah, absolutely. So then let's go ahead and go back and let's try it again. And I want you to just kind of think about what are the things you want to do with it? And what do you kind of see for yourself standing out and wanting to do more with? Okay.
So you want me to talk to you about my plan, or is it you want me to just
No,
go?
I just want you to try it. Just dive in and try it again. Yeah.
They say beauty fades with time, but what if beauty just evolves? At Serene Glow, we believe your skin tells your story, and every chapter deserves to shine. Our botanical rich formulas hydrate, nourish, and bring out your natural glow at any age. Because self care isn't selfish, it's essential. Serene Glow Skincare. Love the skin you're in.
Good. Good. So some of the things I really liked there, I felt like you relaxed a bit more into it. It felt a little more like real and personable to me. And I do think I see more requests for that these days, that people don't really trust the whole salesy, like, get it now, folks. People respond better to someone who feels real and feels like a person who's like, hey, like, I really love this skincare. It completely changed my skin. Like I had all this stuff that was awful. And look, like my skin is so much better than it used to be. Here's a picture. Like check that out. Is that not great? We like that. We like it feeling like a real person and we trust it more. And so this time through, I thought that you kind of relaxed into it more. You kind of slowed down. You took more pauses and it felt less like urgent, like, this is the best skincare, like, don't you want to look good, and it felt a little more just like a conversation about, like, oh man, your skin looks so good. What have you been doing? Oh, well, I just started using this product just a few months ago. And yeah, I agree. Like, and my skin feels better, Like, I feel like it just feels like healthy. And I don't want to just like look good. I also want it to actually be healthy, So I'd rather have skincare that makes me feel good and look good instead of like just caking on stuff. It feels like more of a conversation. And so to me, I liked that aspect of it more. I also felt like I heard some of the words really differently than the first time. I felt like you leaned more into expressing what the words meant, which I really appreciated. Yeah, nice. Is there anything you would try to do differently if you did it again?
Um, yeah. I mean, I would do it probably 20 billion times now. I I don't know, like you mentioned trying to smile a bit more when you're
Yeah,
saying the words. I think I would try that just to see if it
nice.
kind of changes some of the tone.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, so just trying smiling while you do it. Let's do it. Give it a crack or a whack. I don't know. What do people say? Take a crack at it. That's the one.
They say beauty fades with time, but what if beauty just evolves? At Serene Glow, we believe your skin tells your story, and every chapter deserves to shine. Our botanical rich formulas hydrate, nourish, and bring out your natural glow at any age. Because self care isn't selfish, it's essential. Serene Glow Skincare. Love the skin you're in.
Nice. Good. How'd that feel different to you?
I felt like it sounded more like a commercial and less like me just chatting.
All right. So
I was trying to be
then,
more professional.
no, yeah, like, so sometimes we might want that, right? And sometimes we might not. So it really kind of depends on what they're looking for in that, context. So what is maybe, a time where you feel like the more polished professional sound would be appropriate?
I mean, definitely on, I think a TV commercial would probably,
Okay.
I would want
Yeah.
it to feel a little bit more polished. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So then we go, okay, for a different context, I might adjust that, you know? Um, perfect. Great. So then let's do it again. And, we learned something from that. So I want you to try it as though, they were like, okay, final take, give us your best take of it.
They say beauty fades with time, but what if beauty just evolves? At Serene Glow, we believe your skin tells your story, and every chapter deserves to shine. Our botanical rich formulas hydrate, nourish, and bring out your natural glow at any age. Because self care isn't selfish, it's essential. Serene Glow Skincare. Love the skin you're in.
Yeah, and it actually like felt a little like I don't know, like enticing or like a little like flirty or like you're daring them or something, like playful and teasing or something there at the ending to me, which I thought was really fun. What were some things that you especially liked about that take?
I tried to do a combination of more professional but less formal. But then at the
Hmm.
end, I kind of went up with the love your skin you're in, and I didn't like that. I didn't like how
Ah, okay. So
but I
if
could
you,
feel myself doing it, and I was like, ah.
yeah, and you're like, that was not my favorite. So, um, so let's try it one more time and let's adjust that.
They say beauty fades with time, but what if beauty just evolves? At Serene Glow, we believe your skin tells your story, and every chapter deserves to shine. Our botanical rich formulas hydrate, nourish, and bring out your natural glow at any age. Because self care isn't selfish, it's essential. Serene Glow Skincare. Love the skin you're in.
Nice. Good. Yeah. Um, so I think, thinking too about what is this brand, if I was doing something for like CoverGirl, it might be very different than if I did like a Lancome kind of a thing, right? So thinking about the brand as well. So I think you did a nice job with this, like fictional brand, or if it exists, I don't know of it. And just kind of, going, what do I feel like this brand probably is going for? And creating that kind of ambiance and energy because I have many a time encountered an audition or a job, where it was like, oh, I do not know this company or this brand. What do I do? And you just have to give it your best guess. Um, so very nice with that. All right, so then why don't we go ahead and try one of the other two? So go ahead and pick which of those you'd like to try next.
I want to try the Mind Nest one.
Got
Friendly,
it.
personal,
Yeah.
gentle, conversational.
hmm Great. Perfect. So, um, one thing that I think can be really helpful sometimes, especially if I don't have a lot of time or, it's like I just have to get it in, right? Is I might ask myself something like, okay, who do I feel like would do this really well? If I were going to cast somebody to do this job, who's somebody I can think of that would do a really good job with this? So, who do you think would be a good person to hire to do this? That you can think of like a famous person or a person that somebody that you think would do a really good job with this.
Um, what is her name? Maybe like Kristen Bell. Like I feel like
Okay. Yeah,
good,
absolutely.
gentle, conversational.
I agree. I think she'd be a good person to pick for this. Um, so yeah, so she could be a good person to do this as. So you use that person then as like a character inspiration, and you go, all right, so if I channeled a little bit of their energy and what I think they might do with it, what would that look like, right? So let's go ahead and try. You just kind of channeling a little bit of Kristen Bell as you go through.
Hey, quick check in. When was the last time you took a breath just for you? I get it. Life's busy. Our brains never stop. That's why I started using Mind Nest, a guided meditation app that actually fits into your day. Whether I've got 5 minutes between meetings or I'm winding down at night, Mind Nest helps me reset, refocus, and just breathe. With sessions for stress, sleep, focus, and even morning energy, it's like a little therapist in my pocket. Try it free for 7 days. Just head to mindnest.com/podcast and see how a few breaths can change everything. Mindnest, where peace meets progress.
Okay, nice. All right. So, what did you learn from this first take?
That I should have read it fully.
I
Um,
mean, that's a true cold read, right? That's just like, all right, I'm just gonna read it out loud. Here we go, which isn't a bad thing to practice because sometimes you go into auditions and they're just like, here, do this. And you're like, oh, okay.
I did like having, reading the description and picking someone that has that essence for you and trying to
Hmm.
channel them. That was a really
Yeah.
or helpful exercise, I think.
Right. And sometimes you'll get instructions that you go, oh, I don't know if I'm necessarily the perfect person for this. That's not really my natural state of being or something, and then you'll be like, okay, so who would do this well? And then, you can kind of tap into that. Or you can ask yourself, like, what is a time when I felt the same way I feel like, the energy and emotion would be in this? And that can sometimes help too. So just kind of, changing your mindset to get in that headspace can be really helpful. So then, if you were going to maybe say the number one thing that you liked that you did, what would that be?
I don't know. I thought I started out stronger than usual. I felt like
Good.
I was trying to, wheel them in, like you said in the beginning. And I really did have Kristen Bell in mind in the beginning, but I think I
Yeah.
kind of once I got into more of the commercially bit, I found it a little bit more difficult to
Mm.
channel her energy.
Yeah, but it was a great starting point, right? Just to kind of be like, okay, how would she do this? And just start from there. And it's like, oh, okay. And that kind of gets you into that mindset. And then you were able then to make it more your own after that. And it also helped you to just have like a launching point, right? To have that really strong, energetic kickstart. So nice. Good. And then, so if you did it again, what's the number one thing you think you'd do differently?
Um, I think that I would stress the where to go, the mindnest.com
Hmm.
podcast. Like I feel like I kind of breezed through that and I need to be more clear and because that's a really important part, right? You want
Yeah.
people to get I could see that being important to the um
The casting people, they're gonna be like, this is the most important thing. Make sure they hear it. Yeah, that they're gonna really want that to be featured, right?
and
So,
emphasize,
yeah.
free for 7 days because everyone loves free.
They do. That's true. So really leaning into that and making that more of a focal point, that it's like, hey guys, it's free. You can try it for free. So why would you not? All right. Um, yeah, so that's, a really convincing argument to be like, hey, like you guys can try it totally free, guys. So like, why would you not try it? Yeah. So love that. So then what would you say? Then would be maybe if you gave yourself kind of like mm, maybe something that you feel like you can kind of relate to and you feel like it helps you to kind of tap into what they are wanting.
I apologize because I'm not sure I understand your question.
Sure, yeah, like what do you think is the mood or emotion here?
Oh, I think the mood is like I'm you're helping this is helping someone, right? It's
I
like
agree. Yeah.
checking in on you. Hey girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I
Or
try to always try to get that feeling of like, I genuinely want to help you if I'm doing a commercial, right? Because I don't want it to feel salesy or like I'm doing this for me. I want it to be like, hey, I care about you. I'm bringing this to your attention because it's something really great that might be something that you need. And like when I've worked retail in the past and things, I always tried to be like, okay, it's kind of icky to just be like, I'm selling things to you. And I always try to kind of lean into that, like, how does this actually help you and who actually needs this thing, right? So, um, so yeah, I like that take of like, I genuinely care and I genuinely want to be helpful. So, yeah, I love that. So then, what is a time in your life that you do try to genuinely help someone that you can sort of like connect in your life into this?
um yeah, with a friend. Yeah, with friends.
Sure. Yeah. So if you then put a friend in front of you, in your mind, you're talking to a friend, you're delivering this to them, you're saying this to them, right? It's not just like talking to random people. It's like I am genuinely invested in this person. You're going to speak differently than if you're just talking to a stranger. So, saying it the way you would say it to a friend of yours that you genuinely care about and that you think this would be something that they would really appreciate. So, let's go ahead and try that again. And you're going to imagine that friend that you want to say this to.
Hey, quick check-in. When was the last time you took a breath just for you? I get it. Life's busy, our brains never stop. That's why I started using Mind Nest, a guided meditation app that actually fits into your day. Whether I've got 5 minutes between meetings or I'm winding down at night, Mind Nest helps me reset, refocused, and just breathe. With sessions for stress, sleep, focus, and even morning energy, it's like a little therapist in my pocket. Try it free for 7 days. Just head to mindnest.com/podcast and see how a few breaths can change everything. Mindnest, where peace meets progress.
Nice. Good. Yeah. It felt like a friend. I liked that. Yeah, it was very clear. The words that I needed to hear stood out to me. I feel like there's nothing worse than when I hear a commercial and I go, or see a commercial and I go, I have no idea what that was for. It's like some commercials stick with you, but it's like it didn't sell well because I have no idea what it was. Like I heard all of the key important information. It stuck in my brain. It also felt very personable. So I really appreciated all of those aspects. And so yeah, I think that that definitely came across that talking to a friend of yours that you care about and think that they would really benefit from knowing this. So excellent, beautiful. So what would you say are some of the key takeaways here?
The key takeaways are, yeah, picturing like when it comes to a conversational thing, it is handy to picture a friend. It's also handy to channel someone who has a similar energy to, I guess, what is being, requested
Mm-hmm.
by the casting folks. And um, even in a conversational piece, we want to emphasize the parts that are would be important to the company themselves.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. And if you've ever worked in any kind of a like corporate kind of a setting or, at a company, you know that they have like these keywords and mission statements and things that they're like, this is so essential to who we are and what we offer and what we bring to the public. And they're very passionate about like these are the things we stand for, that kind of a thing. And so I think finding those things and leaning into those and really bringing those out, like you said, is going to be really important to the people hiring you. They want to hear those things. And if you do that, it'll make you stand out more. So, yeah, I think that was a really good like add on there. Excellent. Beautiful. So, if you maybe thought of one thing that you want to improve on still that you're like, I feel like I could use some, growth in this area or improvement in this area, what would that number one thing be that you're like, I want to be sure that I work on this?
Um, I mean, all of it really. I mean, I clearly don't know what I'm doing, so I mean, I need to practice it all.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, that it's just like, I just need to practice. That's okay. I think that's a good observation. And also though, I think you might surprise yourself. Um, because you never know. You might be exactly what somebody is looking for. I have seen it with, students who go in super prepared and they're like, I don't understand. I worked so hard and they're crushed when they don't get it. And then I've also seen where, people went in who really weren't prepared, who got it because they were just exactly what they were looking for in that moment. And same kind of goes for me, where maybe I prepared a ton and I did extra coachings and I, was as prepared as humanly possible. And I just wasn't what they were looking for, and I've even had companies reach out and be like, hey, we loved you. We just, you weren't what we were looking for this time around, but we just wanted to say, like, you did a great audition. Thank you so much for auditioning, and we'll definitely keep you in mind for the future, kind of a thing. So, it never hurts to be as prepared as possible, but you can't beat yourself up over like being or not being what they're specifically looking for either. So I say, do the best you can do, but also just be aware that it's like, sometimes, if you work really hard, it's going to get you the job. And sometimes, even if you don't work that hard, you're going to get the job. And then, vice versa too. It's like you might not get the job, even if you were the best person who auditioned that day, just because maybe they're just going for something a little bit different. So just all you can do is just build up your skills, do the best you can, and, keep a good attitude and just keep doing it because you enjoy doing it. And then things fall into place when they're supposed to. And two, the more you do it, the more connections you get. And then there's a leg up because you already know people and they're like, they'll think of you and be like, oh, they'd be pretty good for this, so you're already like shortlisted ahead of time, which is really helpful. Um, Even A-listers have to still audition, but um, they have that leg up by just having people already be familiar with their work, and they'll stand out in their mind a little bit more. So yeah, so I think you're on the right track and you're doing the right things. So keep up the good work and we will come back to commercials next time and maybe try this last one that we didn't get to or maybe try some others as well. So awesome work today. I had fun, trying out some new stuff with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely heard some really good stuff. So I definitely say, keep on that track. And I think to anybody who's, had like jobs that were more like professional settings, where you're expected to be that corporate polish. That always kind of comes through when you hear like, oh, this person's had like legit jobs, and I think are really good at getting that, polished professional sound. But if you also tap into that more like friendly sound, I think that can shine through too. And kind of putting yourself in the character's shoes a little bit helps with that mindset. So remember to utilize some of that character work we did too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome. Well, great work today, Shamara. I'll let you go and I'll plan to see you next week unless something changes. Okay.
you. Talk to you
All
later.
right. Bye bye. Have a good night.